For 5 seconds, I actually had hope that this episode of Boruto was going to turn into something very, very sinister and violent by the end. I thought that summoning by Boruto was just going to go on a rampage. It was going to lose control, and it was going to just tear these like baby ninja apart. I mean, I thought we were going to get buckets of blood and people just screaming in agony, just screaming for their lives because this is such a threat to them, all right? And then Boruto, like, he sees his friends, like a lot of these sort of like ninja that we don't really know much about, he sees them being like torn apart, and that's something that really causes him some trauma, because that's something that he's going to have to live with, because he wasn't able to sort of like calculate the consequences of his recklessness, and now he has to live with this very bad PTSD. I noticed that one of these girls who was running around with Sarada had like a cat tail. So I could only imagine that must be one of the most traumatic memories that Boruto had to deal with after this event of this beast going out of control and just throwing a rampage, is that he actually remembers the vivid image of this cat shinobi girl just getting eaten, all right? And the little tail just going into the mouth like, no! Shino was the teacher. He was supposed to be the supervisor in this situation, and he lost control of that shit too. And so he goes on to be very depressed, and now he has to take some type of a medication to deal with his depression, because a lot of like little shinobi died, and that kind of explains why a lot of these ninja that are in this anime don't appear in either the manga or the Boruto movie. It's because they were actually slaughtered, massacred by this giant freaking monster of a summoning. And I'm just playing this out in my head, and then it's like, oh, this is getting really, really intense. But before any of that can happen, Konohamaru comes in with a Rasengan, and the thing just kind of disappears. Just kind of goes away. All right. So, today's episode of Boruto is brought to you by gender equality / teamwork. Something like that. By the way, was I the only one who thought it was very weird that the message of this episode, the way that Shino was talking about it, was like he was making the connection between teamwork and just a bun and a sausage, like a sausage going inside of a bun. Shino is like, the sausage needs the bun just like the bun needs the sausage. The both of them kind of seem to gravitate towards each other, kind of seem to go together. No, you don't understand. You need the bun and then the shit that goes inside the bun, because that's healthy, that's good, that's how it works, and this isn't creepy at all. And I'm your teacher, and I'm probably going to get fired after this, aren't I? Shino-sensei, you're so funny. I don't understand why you never got married. And let's not forget about any of the memorable character moments in this episode, like ChouChou falling. It was a very dangerous situation for ChouChou, and that kind of got me thinking about whether or not she could turn herself into a ball, just like, like Choji used to do. He could turn into a ball and just roll around. What if she could turn into like a balloon, and then just once she hit the ground, she could just bounce back? I don't know. She has like the expansion jutsu, because we've seen her hands grow, but I don't know about turning into an actual ball. I like how most of the characters in this were actually freaking out over the thought of losing ChouChou. They were like, no, she's one of the few memorable characters we have. Grab her, help me. We can't lose ChouChou, not ChouChou. So the kids save ChouChou, all the while learning a very valuable lesson about having empathy towards the opposite sex, and at the expense of, I'm going to say thousands, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of school property in damages.
The kids also learn about summoning jutsus in this episode. Hey, look, kids, it's a giant frog, just like Naruto's. Remember? Don't you think it's cool? The girls all think it's yucky, but you must surely think it's cool because it's familiar to you.
I am a true Naruto fan, and I approve of the giant frog summoning. And hey, remember how Kakashi used to summon a dog? Oh, and remember how Tamari could summon a weasel? All these things are mentioned in this one episode. It's like an overload of nostalgia. My poor Naruto heart can only take so many feels, and that comment about the weasel just, it hit me hard. It hit me so hard you have no idea. On a serious note, though, I actually thought it was hilarious how Shino was telling the students, you guys, you're not at the level of summoning like beasts or animals just yet. So instead, we're going to start by summoning weapons. And then I thought, wait, isn't basically that what Tenten did throughout the entire series? Like, that was her forte, like to summon weapons. I mean, how hilarious would it be if it turned out that Tenten's true goal was actually to use those scrolls to summon animals, And she was always trying so hard, but she could only get so far as to summon some weapons. Also, Iwabe gets knocked down by a ChouChou punch in this episode. Oh well! I also noticed that as the kids ran towards the building to try and get that red flag, Shino actually took the time to sort of recap or narrate a little bit more about their character profiles. I especially liked what he said about Shikadai, and I quote, "He is the user of the shadow jutsu that was passed on to him by his father." What I like about this is that it's always cool to learn absolutely nothing new about Shikadai as a character, aside from the fact that he's like a mini version of Shikamaru. So there you go. Take that new insight to this character. What are you going to do with it? Oh, and speaking of breaking news, alright, we have Mitsuki coming out in the ending of this episode. I don't know if, like, the summoning was the thing that freed him. I don't know. Every time I see something that's snake-related, I just think Orochimaru. We know that Mitsuki is related to Orochimaru. So I just assumed that through that summoning, that kind of freed Mitsuki up or something. I may be totally wrong, but that's the impression that I got. Maybe he just, saw the weird-ass thing just running amok, and he's like, oh, I should check this thing out. And then he's there. So we're going to get an actual introduction for him next week. Actually, I just remembered that Denki was also in this episode. Yeah, he used his computer to open up a lock. And that was the episode. Overall, I thought this episode was garbage. I mean, it was amazing! I'm not gonna lie, I actually was thinking about not doing this review at all, not uploading anything, but then I'm pretty sure that people would ask, where's your Boruto review? So, I mean, I'm trying my best, guys. Please just know that I am trying my best. And so last but not least, I'm gonna end this review by reading you a message that I got from one of you. One of you guys, username Suina BC. I hope I'm, pronouncing your name right. So it's Suina BC, and this user says the following. He says, or she says, he or she, whatever. Hey, I'm wondering if you agree with me on this on Boruto. My problem with the story is that it's such a missed opportunity. I think that Sarada should have been the main character, not Boruto. At the end of the Fourth Shinobi War, nearly 10,000 ninjas died, and the whole war was caused by the Uchiha, Madara, and Obito, with Sasuke and Itachi being well-known rogue ninja that worked for them. Don't you think it sounds right that people in Konoha should hate the Uchiha and therefore Sarada? They should reject her because of her clan. And Boruto should have been like Sasuke in this case. He's the gifted son of the Hokage who was given praise, and all the chicks in the village should want to be with him because of who his father is, and because of who his father was. He could be Sarada's only friend with maybe ChouChou, but because of her mother, who resents Sasuke for what he did to kill her and the Raikage, she doesn't want her daughter, ChouChou, to be hanging out with Sasuke's daughter. That's the pitch. Please let me know what you think. Me personally, I do agree with the idea that a lot of people in Konoha, I think it would make sense for them to hate the Uchiha right now, and that's not something that has been introduced into the story. But it just does make sense that since they were like the troublemakers, it would make sense for a lot of animosity to still be lingering around even after the war. Just because Kakashi and Naruto and Sakura forgave Sasuke doesn't mean that the villagers or a lot of the other shinobi did. So yeah, I think that's a pretty important point to bring up. As for Sarada being the main character of the series, I'm not too sure of that just because we got a little bit of a taste of what that would look like, in Naruto Gaiden, and a lot of people hated Gaiden. Because it was just like, wait, who's my daddy? And, so a lot of people didn't like that. And I think even if Sarada were the main character, we would still kind of have a similar issue to the one we have right now, which is like, okay, this is a new story, new generation. And if Sarada were to like have a similar struggle than Naruto in terms of being isolated and just not getting along, or a lot of the people in the village hating her, you would kind of end up having the same, okay, so how is she different from Naruto? Even though she's an Uchiha, even though she's a female, how is this character significantly different than the main character of the story that we all know and love, which is Naruto? One of the biggest things about the show is that it came out so close to the ending of the original, so there was no time to miss Naruto. And now automatically we're just thinking about Naruto and be like, oh yeah, I remember that because I just finished watching Naruto. Whereas, other series like Dragon Ball Super or even Star Wars, they waited a significant amount of time and let the audience miss the franchise, and now they're back in full swing because it's like, oh yeah, it's a throwback, but we actually had time to miss the original show, and I don't think that's the case when it comes to Naruto. So that's basically it. Please let me know your thoughts. Like the video if you did, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, comment down below. Thank you guys. Bye.